from Malibu. I'll let you know. I want to talk to some experts and then get a plan of action.
All right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA podcast. My name is Keith. Got a big show today. Jamel Johnson will be on in a second. Damian and Anaya is here for the last drop. And right now, joined by my buddy Chuck Anderson. Chuck.
Hey now.
There it is. How's it going, man?
I'm good, man. I'm playing hooky from work.
You are playing hooky from work. On the YouTube channel, anyone who tunes in there can see you wearing the emasculating collared polo shirt of the working man emblazoned with a logo. I love it.
This is my work drag. This is what I have to wear so a tattooed bearded man can walk into a school and no one calls the police.
I've never seen you in such
garb
apparel before.
Yeah, identity is a interesting concept, and I don't know where the self lies. I do a lot of meditation to figure that out, but where I know it doesn't lie is in my job.
Is this job that you've had now as a real,
a working
red-blooded American blue-collar working man?
Yeah.
Is this where your desire to branch out into the captain has come from? Man, because I see you now, and I've never seen this, and it makes a little bit more sense that you're now kicking back against this normal clothes you're being forced to wear.
So yeah, I think it's quite possible. Thank you, Keith, for that insight. It is quite possible that my, foray into a more non-traditional clothing attire choices probably has to do with the fact that I'm forced to look like a plumber.
Yeah.
So. But my
plumbers
defense,
look kind of hard. You don't look that hard right now. You look something different.
I look kind of hard. I think. But in my defense, caftan isn't like that far of a jump from, the ridiculous stuff that I have wore before.
That's fair.
I'm really just. This is an expansion on the margins. This isn't a wholesale change, but it could have been very well spurned by, my absolute hatred of the work garb that I have to put on 5 days a week.
Is it okay? We can go ahead and mention it now. Are you going to debut? You specially made, and again, if for new listeners, maybe tell them the caftan is some kind of robe.
You can
so a garment?
Caftan is a flowy robe, with sewn sides and armholes. It isn't a muumuu. It's different. It's made of different material. But if you would go on our Instagram today, at Fastbreak Break, you will see a custom-made Fastbreak Breakfast caftan that I will be wearing.
Unbelievable.
This weekend the Sounds game, where the Sounds play whatever the Memphis team is in baseball, and we will be hanging out, me and Keith.
So tomorrow, Friday night, September 10th, the Grizzlies Caravan is coming to Nashville, Tennessee. Chuck and I will be there along with some members of Grizzlies Entertainment. The Grizz Girls going to be giving away some Grizzlies swag. There's also going to be a drawing giving away a free weekend in Memphis to one lucky fan. That's going to be tickets to a Grizzlies game, 2 nights in a Memphis area hotel. Otherwise, just to be a fun Grizzlies night at the Sounds game. Chuck, you're going to be there in a very special outfit. And so everybody come on out. Get details at grizzlies.com if you want to know more about that. We should talk a little bit of basketball before we get to the guests. Rasheed Wallace made a great cry for attention, and we're going to give it to him because we love Rasheed Wallace, right?
We do.
Normally we steer away from these like very mainstream. This would be the top story on The Jump. RIP The Jump. Rasheed Wallace saying that he doesn't think LeBron James would be as dominant in his era. Rasheed saying, now this is obviously a comical statement. Do we even need to dunk on it? Because first of all, Rasheed and LeBron, they overlapped. It's not like,
I'm pretty sure LeBron dropped like 50 points or
in the playoffs
points
against the Pistons, where he scored the last 22 points of the game or whatever it was. Yeah.
But I think what's interesting is the definition of era. I think like a lot of us, Rasheed probably thinks of basketball when it was the hardest for him, which was probably right when he got to the NBA, 96, 97, a very physical era in basketball. So it's quite possible he's thinking of that as his era when he came up. And in that case, LeBron couldn't have dominated in my era, right? When I was playing at my peak, right? And I'm talking Little Tykes plastic basketball hoop. I was a year and a half older than LeBron. I was probably the same height, but I definitely had probably a little bit more, just on a developmental cycle side, a little bit more coordination. So he couldn't have played in my era because he probably was, just barely walking.
Yeah. So it's a very strange statement to think that possibly the most physically gifted player of all time would not also have been physically gifted in a less athletic NBA.
Yeah.
The idea that a more physical game would not help LeBron, who is stronger than everyone.
And
that's
faster.
also kind of bizarre. And again, they overlapped for like a decade, a solid decade. LeBron was dominating an era where Rasheed was still making all-star games.
Right.
Maybe over. I mean, not like a whole decade, but like.
But they played together for.
Yeah, like time. Rasheed was around during all of LeBron's early years, so it's just a bizarre. But I do
remember. I mean, I do remember LeBron struggling against Detroit until he didn't.
Right.
Like until he finally became his final. Well, the funny part about it all is like the LeBron that scored how many points in a row in a playoff game against the Pistons. That is like 4 LeBrons ago.
Yes.
Maybe 5 LeBrons ago. And that version of LeBron is the worst version of LeBron. You know what I mean? Like that version that thoroughly whooped the Pistons is like, while a great athlete and everything, isn't LeBron's final form. That was him in his like pupus stage. He was in his chrysalis.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm looking at it. It does seem like the first like 3 times that Rasheed played LeBron in the playoffs, the Pistons overcame them. The Pistons won, and then eventually LeBron took them over. Here's a fun fact: a lot of you kids might not remember. Rasheed Wallace was actually drafted by the Washington Bullets. So Jamel Johnson, who's a great comedian who comes on in just a second, he's a Wizards fan. He's from that DC area. And we talk a little bit about, his years of watching Michael Jordan and Christian Laettner and other much lower players play for the Wizards. I was looking at the basketball reference page just for the franchise, the Washington franchise. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, Chuck.
Let's do it.
With your own one-man game of scones. We're not even going to sing the Peter Dinklage song. Of the 12 greatest players in Wizards Bullets history, this is based on win shares, where on Basketball Reference, the top 12 in win shares, only 5 of the players are from the Wizards era. The Bullets became the Wizards around 1997.
Mm-hmm.
So in the past, what is that? 25 years or so, only 5 of the 12 greatest Wizards, according to win shares, are from the past 25 years in the Wizards era. Chuck, can you name them? Looking for 5 names, the 5 Wizards with the most win shares in the last 25 years.
Man, I thought this was, and when you told me we were doing some Wizards trivia, I thought I was going to be able to bring up Tom Gugliotta for some reason.
No.
No. And you've robbed me of that, so I'm a little upset. Win shares. I mean, my gut tells me John Wall.
John Wall's one of them. Yes. Thank you.
Brad Beal.
Yes, that's 2.
And scene. Maybe Thomas Bryant. I'm just
gonna edit that one out. Here's a hint: when you're in Oak Ridge, you like to go to a certain restaurant.
Gilbert Arenas.
It's a hibachi. Yes, sir. Gilbert Arenas. That's 3.
Otto Porter Jr.
No, this is
No.
not. Now you're flailing.
I'm
Gilbert
flailing.
Arenas' teammate for a couple years, the high-scoring Antoine Jameson.
Twan, yeah.
I thought you'd get that one. The fifth
Yeah.
one, I didn't assume you would get. I don't think anyone would get. The Wizard with the fifth most win shares in the past 25 years, Brendan Haywood.
What?
This once again highlights how win shares is a cumulative stat, and he just played enough years to pick up some win shares. So the Wizards, again, haven't won 50 games in over 40 years, and their fifth greatest player, according to Basketball Reference, in the Wizards era is Brendan Haywood.
I mean,
but anyway,
what probably would have helped if you would have spent 10 minutes explaining win shares to me.
No, it's
Okay.
not. It's not any good.
Cool.
Well, anyway, Chuck, thanks for jumping on. I will see you on Friday night at the Sounds game. I hope some of you listeners out there in the Nashville, Middle Tennessee, I'm going to say Northern Alabama, Southern Kentucky area. Also, come on down to Nashville for the Sounds game and Grizzlies night. And Chuck, I will talk to you next week.
Peace.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, man. Thanks.
See you, bud.
All right. How about now?
How about now? You got me?
Yes.
Awesome, man.
Do you want me to record on my end?
If it's simple and easy, sure, go ahead to have a fallback.
Yeah, might as well. I don't trust my internet.
Okay, good. Thanks for doing that.
And it's up.
Cool. Ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. I'll just talk about whatever. I'll probably ask you some questions about the Wizards. Maybe
sounds good.
Russell Westbrook, maybe Ben Simmons. I don't know. We can do whatever.
Let's see.
Here we go.
See where it takes us.
I'm joined right now by Jamel Johnson of the Very Funny Airbuds podcast and the very funny, relatively new NBA Storytime podcast. Jamel, how's it going?
It's going all right. I left my mic stand in the car, so I'm holding my mic so I can't open my orange juice. I'm trying to figure out how to.
Do you need us to take a second so you can set the mic down and open the OJ? Oh,
just crack it like a grenade.
That was good. We're going to put this on YouTube with your permission, of course. But Jamel just opened the orange juice with his mouth.
That ain't no problem.
Not a problem. You're a first-time guest on Fastbreak Breakfast. Very excited to have you. You may not know, we start each episode talking about breakfast. You just cracked open the orange juice. Is that breakfast, or is there more to it?
Well, I had I knew that this was coming, so I got a nice breakfast. I got a breakfast wrap from Porto's Bakery.
Oh,
with the fresh OJ, which is a little sweeter than usual, but they're doing their thing.
All right. Is this a pulp free or a pulp heavy? What's the situation there?
It's pulp filled. They're doing fresh squeeze. They're throwing oranges in one of them big ass machines around the clock.
I don't know if this happened before we started the call. I did not see you shake up that pulp at all. I didn't know if is it all at the bottom? Did you get the mix?
I tried to. I should. I mixed it right. I think so.
All right.
I think I got it.
What goes in a breakfast wrap from Porto's?
Okay, so there's this kind of wild. It's like a pork shoulder. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Eggs, cheese, avocado or guac, and then it's black beans, like they do like a spread, and then they put like salsa verde in there, which I remove because it's too much salsa verde, and it just shoots.
How do you remove it? Are you scraping it out?
Well, no, they did. DoorDash, they hold it down. They're like,
oh,
hey,
I got you.
No salsa, please.
Okay.
Because it's just, I like salsa verde, but it just shoots in your mouth.
Yeah.
Like a Twinkie. And it's like, I came for
That's
the
right.
meats and the cheeses. I didn't come for fucking fountain of salsa verde.
But do you have any other kind of spice on that wrap? That wrap you described to me sounded delicious, but I was also kind of screaming, what's the hot sauce? Is there a hot sauce or something on there?
Well, there isn't. They could give you a little green hot sauce.
Okay.
On the side. They give you a little green sauce. I just actually went plain Jane. I'm not even gonna lie. I got fucking Texas Pete as well.
Bang.
And I just didn't even. I was like, I'm fine. I don't even need that right now. I'm busy. I just got to get right here.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, thanks for telling about the breakfast. Tell us a little bit about NBA Storytime. What's the elevator pitch for this podcast you have going now?
NBA Storytime, a short form narrative podcast, and it's about basketball, but not necessarily the game. It's about the stories outside of the game. It's about lesser known players. It's about just things you might find interesting, even if you've never heard of what basketball is.
Exactly.
That's the goal.
That's amazing. I've listened to a couple episodes. Very, very funny. I liked, I was, you had one recently picking out or focusing on NBA players who had appeared in sitcoms. And I believe Rick Fox was omitted, but I thought, was that a purposeful decision because he's just crossed into actor and it's no longer interesting to include him as like a fun NBA cameo?
Well, I get that's part of it. And I was honestly struggling to find his funniest moment. Like Muggsy Bogues in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like,
yeah,
where Larry David's looking at Muggsy Bogues' penis.
Yes.
A lot of times Rick Fox is coming on the sitcom just to be hot. And that's fine. No disrespect. It's just he's the straight man to someone else reacting to his hotness.
Yes.
A lot of these other ones, the player is doing the funny thing.
I think it's good to focus on that. That's my impression too. When Rick Fox shows up, he's kind of playing a version of himself, or like they typecast him as like, hey, you be suave guy. Just be tall, handsome, suave guy. Maybe not leaning into his. Does he have comedic chops? I have no idea.
I think he's got a little, but it's hard to tell. Watch the game, check out the game, and we'll see.
Do you have future plans to revisit something similar to this on the podcast? Because I do feel like you could open a huge door. I mean, with dramas, there's all kinds of NBA stars trying to exercise their acting chops. I recently saw a West Wing episode with Juwan Howard. He was cast as a basketball player, but
whoa. That is something I've never even. He wasn't even playing for the Wizards when West Wing came out, was he? When did West Wing come out? West Wing
came out in like I know this because in the second season they have a 9/11 special episode, which is kind of hard to watch. So it came out in 2000. I think the first year was 2000. Okay, so that might have been. That's Juwan Howard Wizards era. Isn't that close?
Yeah, maybe it's close. It's close as hell. I thought they blew it up when they got rid of Chris Webber in '98, but he might have stuck around for a couple of years. Who knows? Those years get fuzzy.
Well, so this is easy to look up thanks to Basketball Reference. He was in fact traded sometime around. I think he would have been filming this West Wing episode. So I think we can guess he probably was still.
Oh yeah, we're gonna count that. His stuff was still in the crib. It's like, yeah. You're a DC resident. We got you.
So you're a Wizards fan, which I find spectacular. Yes, I don't think I've ever spoken to a Wizards fan before. I've had people on here who've covered the Wizards. I don't know if they count. Are you from that area? Did you just kind of fall in love with Christian Laettner as an old man playing a lot?
Yep. That was my favorite. Him and Darius Songaila. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. Nah, I'm from there. I'm from Virginia, like Northern Virginia, which is the burbs of DC. Is actually a very small city. The suburbs around it are probably twice as big. Like Maryland, like so much of the culture that is DC feels even more rooted in Maryland than DC itself. And then, I'm like 30 miles down the road. We're going to US Air Arena, watching the fucking, Bullets get worked. And then finally we make the playoffs and get swept by Jordan in 98. And I've been there ever since. Just been down.
Who were the players on that Bullets team that you first remember?
My first memories are Calbert Chaney.
Yeah.
Brent Price.
Oh.
I think Tracy Murray.
Yeah.
Rod Strickland.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Rod Strickland, the guy. And then, and Mirasan. How could you forget George Mirasan?
Classic. What were your feelings a couple years later when Jordan decided to say, you know what, this team right here, I want to go play with Chris Whitney. I'm going to play for the Washington Wizards.
I thought to myself, what did I do to deserve this? And then I thought, what
in a good
did
way.
I do?
A lot.
Yeah, first. But he when he bought into the team, we already thought it was cool. When he decided to play, we're like, all right, here we go. And then watching it was fine.
Yeah, I was watching basketball then, but I honestly have very little memory of actually seeing Michael Jordan play on the Wizards. I don't know if my brain erased that. I'm certain they were put on TV all the time.
I'm convinced it was holograms and these images were projected into our mind and they're not real, which does come up later in story time. But I think, okay, so there's only a couple minutes. He has one 50-point game as a Wizard, which is incredible. He pins a couple blocks to the backboard. That's probably his coolest thing that he did. When he would block a shot, he would always pin it to the backboard.
Yeah.
And that was fun to look at. But I just don't understand why he put himself through that. Watching him on the Wizards was like, oh, yeah, the Bulls had Hall of Famers with him, multiple Hall of Famers. He is by himself, and he is counting on Chris Whitney a lot.
So we got to assume he believed that he was going to be good enough to make this team competitive. There's no way he thought, I'm going to go back and play for the Wizards and we're going to miss the playoffs both years.
Yeah. And then deals away our best player, who was Richard Hamilton.
Right.
Oh, you got to love it. There's another cat I'm forgetting who was Tyrone Nesby. Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Tyrone fucking Nesby.
I'm thinking, so they traded away Hamilton for Jerry Stackhouse. I'm kind of obsessed with Jerry Stackhouse. Randomly, he ended up coming on the show back when he was assistant coaching for the Grizzlies, and he was expressing kind of his disappointment of the Jordan era, how Jordan stole his all-star bid. He should have been the all-star from that Wizards team. He was the leading scorer on that Wizards team. He's still a little bitter that Jordan boxed him out from getting an all-star berth.
Well, that explains how the season went. Good to know. Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah. So I because my mind has like totally gotten rid of any memories I might've had, I was looking at these rosters this morning, and honestly, I can't blame Jordan that much. These are some of the worst like teams. Like if you remove Richard Hamilton and Michael Jordan, there's There's just literally no one on the entire roster. So it's honestly impressive. They got 37 wins or whatever.
Yeah, they would always be close to that 8th seed. And yeah, these dudes are carrying G League guys. This is a pre-G League, D League era. And it's just a bunch of dudes who was like, what are y'all doing here? And Popeye Jones.
Well, and they're all old too, which is funny. Like looking at the roster where it's like Christian Laettner is playing a ton of minutes, playing every game, and he's like 34. It's like they're not developing young guys. It's just Michael Jordan and a bunch of journeyman scrubs.
Who he owes money to. Instead of me paying you back for that poker game, how about you come on down to DC? I know where the crabs are.
That's right. Charles Oakley, do you want to be on my team? Let's make this happen.
I remember when you used to almost beat me up as a rookie. I like that. Come on back.
So what are your thoughts on the Wizards now? Last year, you got to experience the Russell Westbrook, whatever you call that, I guess just experience. You make the playoffs. And now he's moved on, gone to the Lakers. Like, what were your impressions of Westbrook last year? How do you think that's going to work with him teaming up with LeBron?
Well, when we got him, the Wizards are a great place to go when you need to lick your wounds. Dwight Howard knows this. Russell knows this. So for the first half of the year, the guy's got 2 torn quads, and you're just like, what am I looking at? But once he got better, he looked like himself. I mean, just the most intense you can be with a basketball in your hands. This is Russell Westbrook. It should work out, because watching the Lakers last year, like LeBron, probably maybe because of just the injury, Hopefully it's not general age, but he didn't seem interested in getting the board and pushing the tempo, which is LeBron stuff. Running the break. Let's get out on the break. I'm going to put down one of the craziest dunks you've ever seen. This is just how the game goes. But the version of LeBron seems to have slowed down. He doesn't really want to play point guard that much. He kind of wants to just be on the block, just let him post up, do his thing. Russell seems to solve that issue if he is healthy, which I hope and pray. Because I live in LA, and if the Lakers are bad this year, it's all going to hell.
Is that bad for business? Is that bad for just life, quality of life?
Bad for life.
Okay.
If the Lakers come out to a bad start, you can't even get on the train. Don't even try to get on the bus downtown. Nobody's having it. This whole shit is going to fall apart. Jamel Johnson personally could care less if the Lakers do well. Jamel Johnson, Los Angeles resident, needs this more than anything. The only thing worse than the Lakers having a bad season is the Clippers having a great season. People will die.
So if we care about our friends and people we know who live in Los Angeles, we should actually be cheering for the Lakers. We should be cheering for the Russell Westbrook experiment to work out. That's what you're saying.
Listen to me. Let me tell you, if the Clippers and the Lakers met in the playoffs and the Clippers won that series, somebody would try to create an earthquake. Supervillains would be born, and they would try to enter the San Andreas fault line with grenades on them. I know they would. These people are out of their minds.
Like Chris Paul crawling through the Staples Center tunnels.
Yes.
That's what would go down. What do you think about the Wizards this year? Now that they have a bunch of random dudes kind of brought in, like okay players, Kuzma, KCP, Spencer Dinwiddie. You have Bradley Beal. Is this the end of an era? Like, I don't think they're projected to be particularly good. Like, I think they're going to be fighting for that play-in again. Like, what are your thoughts on the Wizards right now?
After 5 years or so of reading Bradley Beal trade rumors and the way NBA fandom works, if your team has a player that is 90 or above on 2K, they should be competing for a ring. They shouldn't be on your mediocre team. They should be in LA. They should be somewhere good where they can win. That is what the public thinks. I, of course, think stay, build, stay with me. We love you.
Yeah.
But, Beal should get to do whatever he wants after this deal is done. I just appreciate him playing it out. I also think that him being forced to sit out the Olympics was the only thing that could keep this team together, really, because he was just so sad coming off of that. It's like he's just happy to play ball anywhere. You know what I mean? So that's just like a secret little benefit. It's like when you it's like having a crush and then they gain some weight and they don't feel good about themselves. But here you are to be like, hey, you look good, girl. You still look so good, girl. Like your high school sweetheart, where you're like, yeah, you know what I mean? That type shit. And that's like cool. He looks like he's ready to go. He's going to be motivated to play. Dinwiddie looks motivated. Looking good in summer workout videos kind of scares me just because, John Wall used to look amazing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Wolf season. I remember Wolf season wasn't that long ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he looks good. I just it looks like we're trying to build properly. We got some guys who look real. They're not like crazy over the hill. Montrez has a lot to prove this year.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, they did a good job. Obviously, they turned what was the albatross of the John Wall, and they flipped it into Westbrook, and now they flipped it into just a bunch of pieces, and it does seem like they're kind of building the right way. They should at least be fun, and I do like it. My favorite team's never had a player, I think, with a 90 rating on 2K. I don't know if they hooked Marc Gasol up back in the day. I seriously doubt it. But
it should have. He got a defensive player of the year. That should automatically
first team All NBA. I assume he's still had a very low 2K rating. Yeah,
probably right. Just because he's not cool. Because 2K ratings do. Right. It's directly connected to your Instagram account.
Yes.
So, that's neither here nor there, but Marcus Gasol in his finest was definitely a 90 plus. I don't know what was wrong with him.
Yeah, well, so I'm cheering for the Lakers to be good for your benefit and my other Los Angeles friends. I'm cheering for Bradley Beal to have a nice season. I'm with you. Yeah. I'm a small market guy. Stick in your places, just be good, have fun, win some games.
We'll ride with you forever, man, and we'll be happy with the 6th seed. You go to LA and you get a 6th seed, you can't even get in the Uber, bro.
That's awesome. So to wrap up, I don't know if you're accepting pitches for ideas for your show. I don't want to overstep in any way.
I mean, I might ask you to help me write the motherfucker if you.
Okay. There's some things. I know there's some things in I feel like Wizards history that should be exposed a little bit. Like I would love to know more about, especially like that Michael Jordan time. I would like to know a lot about the trade that did not happen between the Grizzlies and the Wizards, where it got to the point of informing Woj that a trade had happened and the GMs didn't know which player they were talking about, whether it was Dylan Brooks or Marshawn Brooks. Like, I feel like maybe there's some behind the scenes stuff there. I really want to know more about the 3 games that Allen Iverson played on the Grizzlies. Like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Grizzlies fan and I've still never seen much written about it. Like, I know it happened. But he played 3 games, and he's just like, you know what, this isn't for me. And then
I wonder how much time he spent at the nearest TGI Fridays compared to his time in the team facility.
Yeah, look it up. If Google Allen Iverson TGI Fridays if you want to know about having a very good time making your Friday nights very solid.
Another one that I always forget, Harden was this close to being a Wizard.
Really? How'd that happen?
It was when when he got dealt from OKC, they were talking about Wall. It was just going to be Wall for Harden, I think.
Ooh, yeah, that would have worked out great. What if the Wizards had not traded the 5th pick in the Steph Curry draft? For Mike Miller, maybe things maybe you guys could have gotten Johnny Flynn. I mean,
Christ Almighty.
Hey, Mike Miller had a good year that year. I mean, statistically, I'm just saying,
he did.
Good player.
Yeah.
What about the night Carlos Boozer used hair paint?
I mean, that's a novel. That might not even be a podcast, bro. We might have to just write a whole paperback.
It needs to be its own narrative series. Here's another one. Yeah. I feel like if you go back into the TV themes again, I would like someone. I'm surprised that the Ringer hasn't done this yet. I hope they don't hear this and steal this idea. I would like maybe a podcast series about the episode of the cop drama The Shield, where Vic Mackey and the gang kidnap a fictional NBA player to then place bets on the Lakers game because no one else knows that the Lakers star, who's a fictional player, got kidnapped.
What in the world? That sounds awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
The Shield has been in my queue for a while. I'm a cop drama guy.
Yeah, I mean, The Shield 1 is awesome. And I want to say the 4th episode, I had forgotten this. I was rewatching it, and the 4th episode, they kidnap obviously the NBA did not let them use actual NBA players or I can't even remember if they got to use the real name of the Lakers. If they're like, give me 20,000 on LA, or something.
They called him the Lakest.
That's right. That's right. But the plot of the 4th episode is they kidnap an NBA player. The police kidnap an NBA player. So
hell fucking yeah. And shout out to Chicago PD for stealing their whole swag.
Well, Jamel, thanks for coming on. I really enjoyed it. You want to plug the show one more time and we'll get you out of here.
Sure, man. Thanks. NBA Storytime, one word. That's me. Shouts out to Blue Wire Pods and at Airbuds Pod as well. We're podding around the clock, man.
Perfect.
Oh, and sneak this on BR. I got a little sneaker show for you sneaker freakers. We got a sneaker comedy showgram. It's on YouTube. It's on the Bleacher Report app. It's called Sneak This. A new one just came out this morning. Comes out. Last one is 2 Wednesdays from now. Whatever date, a Wednesday.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Jamel. Really enjoyed the time, and hopefully you'll come back on sometime.
Appreciate you, man. And I enjoy y'all Instagram, dude. You guys are on it.
Hey, that's all Chuck. But thanks, man.
So he's grinding.
Yo.
What's up?
Hey, man.
How's it going?
Good.
Yeah.
Things going well for you?
Yeah, not bad. I just got back from vacation.
Where did you go to vacation?
I went to New England area. So I went to Boston. I had a wedding in Maine.
Did you get married?
No. Like I said, it was a vacation.
Never been to Boston. Never been to Maine.
Really? What's the farthest northeast you've been?
I went to a funeral in Connecticut.
Well, that puts a damper on your
young guy.
Your view of wow, yeah, that's even worse.
One of my college friends. Yeah,
Jesus.
It was awful.
Yeah,
it was terrible. No, it wasn't in Connecticut. What is it was in Massachusetts. That's above Connecticut. Is that right above Connecticut?
Yeah, they're all sort of like, I feel like they're all like kind of mixed together in my head, but that's like, yeah, it's right there.
My college friend, who I hadn't spoken to in several years, just died. Got the flu or something. Yeah, and so yeah, I flew to Massachusetts, and when I was there, should I be recording this? This is good.
One,
it's incredible content.
People are gonna love it.
When I was at this funeral, I was like, man, the Basketball Hall of Fame is really close to where I am. It turns out. So,
did you go?
So I went. Yeah, of course. So
yeah.
I don't even know the name of the town in Massachusetts I was at. It was strikingly different from the South in the way that every person there respected the crosswalk like nothing I've ever seen in my whole life. Like if a person was on the sidewalk, was near a crosswalk, every car came to a stop to make sure that person wasn't thinking about going into the crosswalk. I'd never in my entire life seen that. In
it didn't dawn on me that I noticed the same thing when I was there. Like people are so, you could be on a highway that's going like, like the speed limit's like 50 or something, and there's a crosswalk and people stop for it.
Terrible idea. So I didn't in Nashville. People do not respect, like they have flashing signs. They have flashing yellow signs for crosswalks that like light up when people go across them, and no car cares.
Yeah, no,
not a single car cares. And so I didn't know, like, I think of the Northeast as not being as polite as far as when people talk, when people discuss stuff. However, in the cars, they are like, listen, that person turned their head towards the crosswalk. They might be thinking about it. Let's all slow our cars down, come to a complete stop. Do you lose your car if you run through one? Like, what's
what my very unscientific theory about that is like, the Northeast is the oldest part of America, right? Like, or one of the oldest parts of America. They've just been driving longer, so the rest of the country hasn't yet evolved to the level of like pedestrian,
you think they got their car first?
Relationship. Oh yeah, for sure. You don't think so? They had to have been driving before.
I don't know if it matters.
They were driving in like the 1400s.
I don't know if it matters where the population was before the car was invented for your.
But what about horses and buggies and stuff like that? They still had like people crossing the streets.
When was the first crosswalk? Did you need a crosswalk for horse and buggies?
Oof. I should like I said, this is a very unscientific theory. Have not studied anything about it. Don't know anything about the history of cars or roads.
I don't know how is there a way to get the Northeast's obsession or the way they observe the crosswalk? Is there a way to get that in
I don't know.
Southern states, because southern states are all about me. They're all about what is good for me. I'm in my car. It is good for me not to stop or slow down for anyone.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's a cultural thing, I mean, maybe it's just that like the Northeast is full of well, I don't know. I mean, you were in Connecticut. It's not like it was that populated, right?
It was not. So that's the other thing about.
Yeah.
I was in Massachusetts. I drove to the Basketball Hall of Fame in Connecticut. The entire time I was driving, I was like, if this feels like the deepest South I've ever been to. There were.
Oh yeah.
There were Confederate flags flying everywhere.
I saw
like this is like
up there.
This is like 15 years ago. This is like
I saw some in Maine. Yeah.
I saw like this is way before MAGA. This is way before like the open embrace of fascism by the far right. This is just like, I don't know. This is like the early 2000s or mid, like 2005. And I'm driving from Massachusetts or some town going to Springfield, Connecticut, and there's just Confederate flags along the highway. And it's just country everywhere. And I'm like, this is the Northeast. I didn't know.
That's crazy.
I didn't know we had allies up here.
Yeah. You are. I just looked up where the Basketball Hall of Fame is. There's like no major city really near it. Hartford is down there, but
yeah, my drive through Connecticut
realize it was like in the middle of nowhere.
Rural. It was just rural. All I saw, I didn't see a building. I felt like.
Oh wow. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I live in Chicago and no one, it's the same thing. Like no one really respects the crosswalks either. It takes you like an hour to cross the street.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I think maybe it is something really super specific to the Northeast.
Is it part of the religion somehow? I mean, how do you get people
maybe
to
like
adapt
some
that
like
much?
Quaker thing or something? I don't know.
It's anyway, let's start the show.
Yeah, I mean, I could spend all day talking about
crosswalks. It's time for the last drop. I'm joined right now by Damian Anaya. He's a Chicago-based comedian. He's also a Suns fan.
Yep.
Damian, last time you were on.
Yeah.
Last time I had you on, I was struggling. I was struggling with the fact that the Suns and Devin Booker were up 2-0 in the finals. Okay.
I was trying to remember what game it was.
How have things been going for you since then?
I mean, I'm finally over it. The worst I felt was after game 5. When the Bucks won game 5, I was like,
paint the picture. Was that the Giannis alley-oop play? Was that the
Giannis alley-oop play? I thought that was earlier. I think that was an earlier game.
Was that an earlier game?
I think so, man. But I don't know. So I watched all of these games sort of alone, like by myself in front of the TV. My girlfriend was there.
Knowing you, that's not surprising.
Yeah. So I was very isolated. Around no other Suns fans, but I decided game 5, me and I have a buddy from Arizona. So I was like, let's get together, watch game 5 for like some good mojo. And we sat there and pretty much, I mean, we were devastated after that. And we just sort of knew that game 6 silently agreed that there was no way we're going to win this thing.
So game 5 was in fact the alley-oop play.
Was it the alley? Okay, yes.
So game 5 is Devin Booker has the ball. I'm enjoying reliving this. So thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
I've tried to block it out because
this is Devin Booker has the ball.
Yes.
In a 1-point game, down by a point. And it looks like he could have pulled up from about 16, 18 feet. He takes an extra dribble. The defense collapses on him. Drew Holiday runs in, strips the ball away. Yeah. And again, this is like that was the deciding, I mean, probably the deciding moment of the game. The series. Yeah. And then they throw the alley-oop and
and that's one of those like Devin Booker things where you're like, you're still waiting for him to like kind of arrive. Like he's great. He can be great at some points, but it's like the ball in his hand in that moment where he does take that sort of like jump step and like stops. It's like he has not made up his mind in that moment at all to do anything. He's like, oh, my shot isn't there. Okay, what's like the next option? Instead of just being like, all right, I'm going to shoot this no matter what.
Well, he'd had a great game, and I felt like I felt like he'd been unstoppable in the mid-range, and he missed his moment. He probably thought I could have pulled up. Oh, maybe, I'll take one more dribble, get even closer. That's tough.
No,
But
man, I mean, that was the worst, man. I just like, and also compounded by the fact of how like nice all the Bucks are, really, like when I hear them speak at the end of the game or at the
end of the series, it was so emotional.
End of the series,
yeah,
it's just like everyone's so cool and like, you can't help but like root for these people, but that almost makes it worse because I'm like, I just want to hate whatever team.
Right. Whatever team just took this thing away from you that you'll never have now.
But it was so hard, man. I was just like I wanted to be happy for Giannis, but in that moment, I was just,
That's tough. Yeah. So you're never, as a Suns fan, you're recognizing that was it. Like you're never getting.
I mean,
you were up 2-0.
Dude, how are they gonna? Here's the thing:
how are they gonna get any closer than that?
Pessimistic point of view, right? It's like, yeah, every team. I mean, the level of parity in the NBA is like, there's not much of it, unless you're like the top, unless you're like a top 5 team or something, like you've got the Clippers, but Kawhi is going to be out until, I don't know, January.
I think he might be out the whole season.
He might be the whole season.
We don't even know. I mean, I think but you're saying like right now the Suns, at least they should be they're one of the best teams in the West.
They are, but it's like still you got to stack them up against like the Lakers, the
Nets.
It's
the
like
Bucks are still there.
Dude, trying to get through all these teams. Like I don't even think for the Bucks it's going to be hard to So this was like the window where it's like, oh man, just like something go right. And then the Chris Paul thing, we talked about it last time, but he hurt his hands, but like who doesn't have like some kind of injury at the end of the season,
It's true. So this offseason, they didn't really retool or any. I mean, it's like the same.
No, they
let some guys go. They traded their first round pick for Landry Shamet. That doesn't make any sense to me. They did re-sign Campaign. Campaign said he was going to re-sign with the Suns no matter how low the offer was. Do you have any advice for him and his agent, maybe for the next time he's up in a contract?
Yeah, I would say maybe
situation?
Yeah. I mean, he said that after he signed the contract, right? So it's like, I don't know. It's like getting something. It's like getting a good sandwich somewhere and being like, I would have paid $1 million for this. It's sort of like that,
It is, but like when the deal was announced, I think most people's reaction was, that's not a great deal.
Yeah.
Like, I think the third year's partially guaranteed, and you're like,
I mean, when I see stuff like that, I'm like, I don't know, maybe there just wasn't a lot of buzz for maybe there just wasn't a real a real market for him or something.
Yeah.
Because there's no way he was just like, just put me back on the Suns no matter what happens. I mean, it could have been a career thing too, because Chris Paul is like, what is he, 37 now? 30? No, it's
maybe Campaign's plan is to injure Chris Paul.
Yeah. So there's gonna be some like Tanya Harding kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Great reference.
Yeah.
Lots of people still remember that.
Dude, I've never seen like Campaign. Anytime he drove to the basket, I'm like, he's going to get this. I've never seen a guy get blocked so many times doing the same exact shot. Like
he's very small.
Yeah, he is very small, but like driving to it, I'm like, oh, here's as well as some of those like shots went, like I was still like, oh man, he's going to get swatted right now.
I like Campaign because he still has a shot that he's a good shooter, but he has one of those shots that I don't believe in every time I see it go up. I'm like, it looks like he's trying so hard to get it there. Like he looks like a little kid shooting a 3-pointer who should not be shooting a 3-pointer.
Almost
like that's way too far for you, buddy. Why don't you get closer?
Sean Marion style 3-point shot.
Or it's not as extreme as like Jaren Jackson Jr., where Jaren Jackson Jr. every time he shoots, you're like, what was that? And then you're like, oh, I guess he makes them. I guess that's just what his shot looks like.
Man, I want that. Who's that Pacers guy? Perkins. Was it Kendrick Perkins?
Big smooth.
The flat-footed 3-point line drive shot that he had, man. That was. I want that. I mean,
honestly, Karl Anthony Towns has a tiny bit of that just because he doesn't jump.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm guessing when Karl Anthony Towns is 33, like I feel like the era that I remember Big Smooth, like the end of the run.
Yeah.
where he's just that shooter. Maybe Karl Anthony Towns will be doing that. Maybe he'll grow his hair out a la Sam Perkins. That would be kind of amazing. Yeah. So I feel like you have a little bit of hope because the Suns are good, but like the odds of everything coming up right, like you're one of 7 teams, maybe 6 teams.
Yeah. I mean, my hope is, something happens like what happened this year where, it's just the law of attrition or whatever, like they just outlast people because they were like the healthiest team in the West, right? Like everyone got injured who was in their way. Denver,
Denver and the Lakers. Anthony Davis goes down.
Yeah, goes
Donovan
down.
Mitchell got a little banged up, and
exactly.
Mike Conley was not right.
Yeah, and then Kawhi didn't play in that Western Conference Finals, and then and then they met the Bucks, who were relatively healthy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe something like that will happen, but that's like my only thing. But I don't know. Maybe we'll see some decline in LeBron, and maybe that whole Russell Westbrook thing won't work out. And
there's always hope, right?
Yeah. And then Kawhi's not going to play this year, so that kind of slots them back into like top 3 at least, and then
you never know.
But you're still like even with Denver and Utah at that point. But I don't know. JaVale McGee though, we got JaVale McGee.
Hey, that's something. That's not nothing. Well, anyway, Damian, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
Other than suffering through the Suns loss, you had a fine offseason so far.
Yeah, there's some Jalen Smith buzz going on right now.
God, no.
So
get off the message boards.
We'll see.
Get off the message boards, man.
Oh man, I know.
Do those still exist? Anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thank you
coming on, and I'll talk to you the next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I might try to splice in the end of that. I might try to splice in the funeral talk.
Yeah. Put some crosswalk talk in there.
Crosswalk talk.
Yeah.
With Damon and Anaya. All right, man. I got to run. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
You want to come on again in a month?
Yeah, let me know.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.
Yeah. Sweet.
See you, buddy.